we go. And then when I start talking, then you know we're live. And welcome everyone to the Mechanics Institute Tuesday night marathon. We are here for round 6. I'm Abel Talamantes, chess director at the Mechanics Institute, and Grandmaster Nick DeFermian, 3-time US champ, is going to join us at 8 o'clock, and we'll get in on all the games from round 6. But joining me right now, we have a very, very special guest from the Mechanics Institute. It's Taryn Edwards. How's it going?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
And you're going to talk about something that you're the specialist of at the Mechanics Institute when it comes to the history, especially the history of the Mechanics Institute and, you know, the fairs and everything. And this one is chess related. So I'm excited that you're here. Thanks for taking the time. And why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your role at the Mechanics?
Of course. So my name's Taryn Edwards, and I'm one of the librarians at the Mechanics Institute. I've worked there almost 14 years, or is it almost 15? I forget. But I'm a librarian. I manage the writers' activities for the Institute, and I also fell in love with Institute history. So I am one of the few people in the world that knows a great deal about such a small little thing as the Mechanics Institute's industrial expositions. And you've done like some really cool stuff. Like you did it like a history of like cable cars, I think not too long ago. I did. You flatter me, but yes.
So what do you got for us today?
Well, I have a teeny tiny bit of chess history to share from Mechanics Institute's past. And if you're ready, I'll go ahead and launch.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let me set the stage a little bit. As you know, Mechanics Institute was founded in 1854, which makes it the oldest continuously operating chess entity that we know of in the United States. And are you showing the slide that I have, number 1?
Yep, the first slide is up and ready.
Great. So as you might guess, in 1854, running a library and a chess room was a very expensive endeavor. And this was a time in California when there was no such thing as public funding for libraries yet. And so to supplement the Institute's income, it decided to host a fair, which they ended up doing nearly every year, to celebrate what makes San Francisco awesome. Its invention, its ingenuity, and locally made products, which we'll talk more about later. But the first fair was held in 1857, and ultimately 30 fairs would be held over the next 40 years to help support not only the library and the chess room, but the larger Institute goals.
And what space would they use to hold these fairs? Did they just kind of rent a space, or did they have a dedicated space?
Well, they had a dedicated space. They built a fair building. The first one was right across the street from where the Mechanics Institute is now, where the Crocker Galleria is. Wow. But the last 15 fairs, so between 1880 and 1897, it was held at this building, which I can't see, but I hope you're on slide number 2.
Oh yeah, you gotta let me know when you want to switch. But there we go.
Perfect. Okay. Slide number 2. Mm-hmm. This here building was the Mechanics Pavilion, and it was right at Larkin and Grove in the Civic Center. So kitty corner to City Hall and exactly where the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium is now.
Not too far.
Yeah, right there. And that building was huge. It was bigger than the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium. It was nearly 4 acres big. Wow. And it could hold over 10,000 people at one time.
Actually, it looks massive from the picture of it. Mike Walder's in the chat. He thinks he may have played a Ghee Back in the day. That would have been a while back, but
Quite possibly. So switch to the next slide.
Mhm.
And the fairs were pretty similar every year. This slide is a typical fair interior. The place to see and be seen was at one of the fountains in the center aisle
Yeah.
of the room. This was definitely the place where you would sit with your girlfriend or, people watch. And along the walls, there were exhibits of locally made products. So everything from soap to cable cars was there. Ghirardelli chocolate, Martinelli cider, Levi Strauss's jeans, Singer sewing machines, and Folgers coffee. These are just some of the exhibitors that we might recognize now,
Yeah.
that you'd see at the fairs. But usually there were also a couple of special exhibits that were must-sees for the fairgoer. One time in the 1860s, there was a 3,000-pound cheese,
That's a lot of cheese.
which we're not going to talk about that. But one special event that was at the 1890 fair was an automaton, or a mechanical man, named Ajib. And Ajib in Arabic means wonderful or beautiful or unique. And Ajib was world famous for his chess playing abilities. Now, Ajib was a life-sized fellow, a mechanical fellow with a movable head and torso and right arm. And really, that's all you need to play a good game of chess, right?
Yeah, a good right arm always helps.
Or left, you got to have one. Anyway, so he sat on a cushion mounted on this big box that purportedly contained his mechanical gears and works. So let's go to slide number 4 now.
Yep, and I'm on that.
Perfect. And this is a colorized drawing of the photograph that I use on slide 1.
Now, do you know if this was sort of like a traveling exhibit that kind of went from place to place, or?
We'll get to that.
Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here.
Yeah. So Ajib was built by an English cabinet maker named Charles Hooper. And poor Ajib was immediately put to work earning Hooper's bread and butter, playing chess. Because what else did he know how to do? And he was first seen at the London Polytechnical Institute in 1868. And what's interesting about the Polytechnical Institute was that it kind of was a model for what our Mechanics Institute hoped to be. We never quite got there, but anyway, Ajib was a smash hit there. And then he spent the next few decades touring big cities in Europe, dazzling everyone, before crossing the Atlantic and taking the United States by storm.
And it was the same one. It's not like there were others like it that went around also. It was this same exact one that kind of went around the world.
Well, that is unclear. There were other automatons who played chess. One was called the Turk, which Ajib was purportedly modeled after. There might have been other Ajibs, and I'm guessing that there were, just because Ajib's passport had quite a number of stamps in it. Yeah. But who really knows? But Ajib appeared to be animated. He had a giant key in his back that someone would turn very impressively before he started a game, winding him up, if you will, for a good game of chess. But of course, being, I guess, a giant doll, he wasn't really playing chess himself. There actually was space inside of him and in the box that he sat upon to hide a person. And Charles Hooper was his builder, was the first person to play chess hiding inside of Ajib. And he did that for about 20 years, so until about 1889.
So it was the builder himself was the player.
Yeah. And I guess he had his wife winding the key. But then I guess he got tired of the life being inside of Ajib. And so he hired other chess and checker masters. And apparently the smaller, the better. Some of the players were even rumored to be missing their legs in order to more easily fit inside of Ajib's cabinet. Who knows if they purposefully lost their legs to be Ajib, or if they just happened to not have legs and be good at chess.
That if they had lost it, that would be true devotion to the art, for sure.
Exactly. I could go through their names if you want me to, but it was 150 years ago, so I don't know if these names would make sense. One guy I found a obituary for was Peter J. Hill. Okay. Does that ring a bell?
It does not.
It does not. Okay. Well, he had quite a story to tell about his time as Ajib. But anyway, so in 1890, coming back to Mechanics Institute, Ajib found his way to San Francisco. And his owner at the time paid $955, which was quite a chunk of change in 1890 money. Yeah. For a license to exhibit Ajib at the fair of that year. And the fair took place between September 18th and October 25th, 1890.
Now, do you know if people charged to play Ajib, or was it just kind of like an exhibition that was there?
Well, you paid 50 cents. You paid 50 cents. You paid 50 cents to get into the fair. And then you had to pay an additional 25 cents to see Ajib. Okay. Whether or not you got to play with him, that's a little unclear in the historical record.
It's funny because I first learned of this story. I was watching a documentary on Garry Kasparov, who played a computer. It was the first computer to be reigning world champion, Deep Blue. And at the very beginning of the documentary, they had an Ajib, because it was sort of like the first, quote unquote, chess computer, even though it wasn't, right? So this was the thing, right? This is like a chess computer, though it wasn't, but it's like.
Right. Well, I mean, this was a time when people were fascinated by mechanics. They were fascinated by the mechanization of labor. They were fascinated about how machines were changing people's lives, whether it be their own jobs, because a machine was built to roll cigars or sew. But it was just a time when everyone was fascinated, but at the same time fearful for their own livelihood. And maybe things haven't changed. I don't want to say I'm fearful, but I know people who are concerned about how the future looks for their own careers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's see. So September is set. September and October are set for the fair. Ajib is scheduled to be there. And in May, before the fair, I guess to drum up interest in Ajib's appearance, the San Francisco Call newspaper featured an article that explained how Ajib and other popular automatons at the time worked. And so that, if you click to the next slide, you'll see some pictures that were in that newspaper article specifically about how Ajib functioned. So basically they're spilling the secret that there's a guy inside moving the hand. But despite spilling this, spilling the beans and basically saying Ajib doesn't actually have a mind of his own, he still proved to be a popular exhibit at the 1890 fair. But he wasn't popular enough to satisfy our fair managers, who fussed after the fact that the ticket fee to see Ajib was too high.
Huh. Now, what sort of pushed you in this direction of finding this and kind of researching it, and did something come across your way? Did you hear of something or?
No, I just was thinking, what can I come up with that has kind of a cute story behind it? I mean, there's lots of cute stories about the chess department of the Mechanics Institute, but this one I
Oh
thought
yeah,
was exotic and fun
yeah.
and somehow tied into the whole.
There's cute and not so
Um,
cute stories, both. But we'll
yeah,
focus on the cute.
but I love if you flip back to the first image. Um,
Yeah.
I love I love the that movie Big where there's
Oh yeah.
Zoltan.
Yeah, that's right.
I love those things. And there's a woman that I don't know what her name is, but she's, in the box and she'll tell fortunes. I think at the Museum Mécanique here in San Francisco, we have one of her and then also Zoltan or Zoltar. So I just love that he came to Mechanics Institute's fair and that he was such a, he was just, he was all over the world. So that's kind of amazing.
And in the Twitch chat, I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen the movie Hugo?
I have not.
Like, was there like a fortune teller like machine there? Mike Walder's in the chat asking. I haven't seen Hugo, so.
Well, I'm going to put it on the list.
Yeah, put it
so
on.
I'll take a look.
And Alexi Root is in the chat. And Lexi Root is asking if your PowerPoint is available online or if you wouldn't mind me sending it to her. Lexi Root is educator, author, quite famous in her own right. Would I be able to send that over or connect you with her?
Why don't you connect me with her, because I'm going to put on my website the YouTube video of this talk. And I'll also include the slides with the sources so she can use, get the original files.
Perfect. I will do that. So Lexi will send that to you as soon as we upload it with the link and the file, and I'll have Taryn send that over to you.
Yeah, that would be great. So, yeah, so Ajib, he was not definitely the most renowned of chess players to ever take part in activities at Mechanics Institute, but he certainly was one of the most well-traveled, and at least according to these pictures, one of the better dressed.
Awesome. Lexi's saying she may write an article about your presentation and stuff. So we'll connect you both, and then you guys can talk. Lexi does a lot.
I'm flattered.
Yeah, so they're instantly famous already, like in the chat. And then Mike Walder is saying it was an automaton in the movie Hugo. So.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna look into it right after we hang up and see what's that all about.
Alexi's asking in the chat, how does Ajib relate to the Turk?
Oh, the Ajib was purportedly was son of the Turk. I mean, I guess Mr. Hooper must have seen the Turk somewhere, and who was another automaton that was built before Ajib, and Mr. Hooper must have thought, gosh, what a great gig.
Son of the Turk.
So that's what I hear, is just that Ajib was modeled after the Turk.
Like son of Turk, like son of Jaws.
Son of Turk.
Like Jaws and son of Jaws. So,
yeah, but he's so funny. There's some factual references to him that you can find in the newspaper, but there's just so much fiction about him, and who knows what's true and what's not, and does it really matter?
And Alexi Root's in the chat saying that she's written about the Turk in the past. So.
Oh, really? Well, I have to say my personal interest is just that Ajib is one of the many personalities that came to Mechanics Institute and took part in the fairs, and so I'm just delighted that he not only was smoking a hookah while playing chess.
Yeah, look at that.
But yeah, I mean, he looks fabulous.
So very cool, very awesome. There's so much like Mechanics Institute like history, like people have no idea. And I'm glad you're here because a lot of the people, very San Francisco, as Mike Walder says, a lot of people that know the Mechanics Institute for chess often think that the Mechanics Institute is just a chess club. and they don't realize that it's a larger cultural arts center, membership library, and we have a lot of history, and a lot of it is preserved through the research that you do. When did you start getting interested in like San Francisco history? Like since you were a kid, or when you were working in the city? Like when did that start? And were you sort of specialized in that passion for San Francisco history?
Uh, well, I'm a fifth generation Bay Arean. My folks came to California during the gold rush, but they settled in Oakland. And so I really didn't have a ton of exposure to San Francisco until I got the job at Mechanics Institute. And I really fell in love with the Institute, not necessarily San Francisco at large. What I find fascinating is how mechanics, being so old, really was the seed from which all of San Francisco culture springs. I'm being facetious, but at the same time, so much of it does, because founded in 1854, one of the oldest libraries in San Francisco that still exists, but one of the oldest providers of educational experiences for adults in the whole state of California. So really, a mover and shaker in terms of how we see ourselves as San Franciscans and Bay Areans at large. So that's what happened. 14 years ago, I started at Mechanics, and just, give me a couple of years to, find my way, but I just fell in love, and here I am now.
Awesome, Taryn. Well, we appreciate all that you do at the Institute, and it's cool. We should have you back to bring some of the mechanics history along with the chess broadcast, because it's all one and the same. Actually, and Alexi's asking in the chat, can I double check something with Taryn? I heard that women were admitted from the start, 1854, of the Mechanics Institute and Chess Club. Is that correct?
Well, all the chess club as an entity wasn't really formed. It was just part of the services that the Institute at large offered for a number of years. And that is typical of libraries in the 19th century. They always had a couple of chess tables, but from the very beginning, the Institute really felt that chess was a way to not only encourage member interaction and community, but also intellectual stimulation. But then as far as women, we were a membership organization, and membership was, our income was dependent on the number of people who paid for their memberships. And so our founders in 1854, 55, 56, 57, they all were very aware that you can't limit, if you're on this model, you can't limit your membership to any one group of people and make it in this world. Women always were a part of the Institute. However, I should say their contribution was always valued and encouraged. But culturally, women did not take out memberships in their own name until, I want to say, about 1860. And that there's a couple of reasons for that. There weren't very many women in San Francisco at the time. And culturally, the man of the family, the head of the family, would take out a membership. And also, membership was really quite expensive back then in relation to the services. So our founders loved our female community members, but they didn't actually start taking out memberships in their very own name until the 1860s. And so it's hard to track exactly what their contribution was to the Institute unless you really dig into our board minutes and newspaper reports. But just to point out a few female heroes of the Institute, there was a lady, and I forget her name right off the bat, but she was an organizer of a journal called the Hesperion. It was a women's journal, and she very kindly donated copies of her journal to the Institute and also donated money. But she wasn't actually a member in her own name. Hermione Day, that was her name. Mrs. Day. She wasn't a member in her own name. So if you didn't like dig into the backstory behind her, you wouldn't know that she was so important to mechanics history because her husband had the membership. But anyway, I digress a little bit, but women were the backbone of the Mechanics Institute from the very beginning, and our founders are the first men to tell you that.
Fantastic. Well, Taryn, thank you for sharing a little bit of this history, and let's definitely have you back. We'll figure out a cool topic to come back, and you already got a lot of people excited and interested for the story, so thanks for taking the time.
Oh, give me 2 more seconds. I have a great idea.
Go for it.
So Andrew Smith Halliday, father of the cable car, president of the Mechanics Institute for 14 years, what did he want to do? He wanted to get rid of the chess room. Why? There weren't enough chess players to justify the cost of the gas that was used to light the chess room.
Expensive. No problem.
They're expensive.
Well,
anyhow, that's thanks
just,
so much.
That's just one of the reasons people wanted to get rid of the chess room.
Well, he lost that fight, but he didn't fight very hard. Yeah. You know, well, it was past the civil. It was just past the Civil War. The whole country was in a state of financial hemorrhage. So you really can't blame him for looking at the dollars and cents.
Well, maybe we can rile everyone up. Hold on. We can rile everyone up with stories of when people have tried to close the chess room. That might be a fun broadcast. Get everyone worked up.
Well, we'll start from the beginning and see what we come up with.
Yeah. I think through several years, there's cases of that. So thanks, Taryn, and Lexi, I will definitely connect you to get in touch and then go from there. And thanks for taking the time.
All right. I guess I'll see you tomorrow at work.
We'll see you soon. Probably not tomorrow, but maybe this week. All right.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care, Taryn. Taryn Edwards, Mechanics Institute historian, librarian, and all that other good stuff. And we are going to get to the chess action shortly. We're just going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to get Grandmaster Nick DeFermian in and cover the games of round 6 of the Tuesday Night Marathon. So we will be back in about 5 minutes. And welcome back, everyone. We are back with Grandmaster Nick DeFermian, and Paul Whitehead will be back next week. And we're going to cover round 6 of the Tuesday night marathon. The chess action has been going on, and this is our board 1. Christoph Bamboo against International Master Elliot Winslow. How's it going, Nick?
Oh, good. So yeah, you have the Tuesday night, and you've got which is the classical club gathering. The Thursday nights, it's quicker, it's international, it's something else.
That's right.
But this is the tradition here.
Right. This is the old school, but the old school is the cool school for us. And here we are, two strong players doing battle on the top board. How's it looking for the players?
Well, Elliot's got a sneaky threat, knight to d5, threatening checkmate and threatening the bishop on b7. So it looks a bit better for him, a little better development, but okay, most any move will defend against that. Just queen to c7 maybe.
And these games started at 6:30 p.m. It's a game in 2 hours with 5-second delay. So a lot of the games have progressed well. Let's take a look at board 2. This is Christian Clemens playing white against Nicholas Wang.
That knight just hopped into d6 there. That's a troublemaking knight, but it can't stay. Gotta get out of dodge there.
Yeah. It's not going to sustain the temporary invasion. That's for sure.
Well, let's see. Is there any tricks to be done? The long diagonal with the bishop, big queen to d5. Maybe it can still live a little to cause trouble. Yeah, queen to d5 threatens some things.
Yeah, you can't just bishop b7.
Yeah, that knight would take it. You move the knight on c6. The queen would take the rook on a8. So maybe you'd have to do something ugly like knight on d to b8. And
oh my gosh, that's so much pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Looks ugly. Queen to d5, knight on d to b8, bishop to g5, forcing bishop f6, trades it, take the bishop on c8, knight takes e5. Looks like white's winning some material there.
And Christian Clemens has been playing some strong chess lately. It seemed like for a while he was hovering in the high 1900s, and sometimes I'd see him get into time pressure, but I think his ability to maneuver during time pressure improved actually when he was playing online in the faster time controls, and his chess has gotten stronger also all around.
Yeah, it's funny, the old tradition, and people would just enjoy coming every Tuesday and playing it, but they had to change their game a bit with the online world, and you kept it going, and they had games to play, and I think they've learned something from it.
And F-Pon's in the chat saying hi, calls you GM Nick and FI Able, which is true because I am a FIDE instructor, but also FIDE arbiter. So I'm never going to get a title for playing chess. So I'm going to use every title I have for my non-playing chess while I can, because it'll never be for playing chess.
Well, hey, Michael, we always love seeing you here. It's
speaking of FPON, now is a good time to plug the Bernardo Smith Memorial that's happening this weekend. at the Mechanics Institute. We're going to have our first 2-day FIDE rated event, a weekend event in about a year and a half. 3 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, all sections FIDE rated. We've gotten several registrations even just today. So if you want to register, click on that link to get all the information. That's. Do I prefer to be known as an organizer and arbiter? Yeah, if I had to pick one, that's kind of hard to pick. I guess an organizer, because I think at heart I like bringing people together through chess. Um, so, I mean, I was organizing a bunch of kids for a tournament when I first got into the business. So, better than a disorganizer and a rabble rouser. You'd be surprised. Actually, I've been accused of that, even here in the institute. So, so it's not far up to from the truth. Up to 30, yeah. And I also plugged the Smith Memorial right before the round. So, and we have some of the stronger players. I talked to their parents; they're interested. So, I think we're gonna have a really good turnout this weekend for the Bernardo Smith Memorial FIDE rated 5 rounds. Get in on the action. Don't miss out. Take part.
Abel, I asked you this some weeks ago or something, and nobody was quite new. But do you remember, or have you learned who Bernardo Smith really was?
I actually, speaking of organizer, there's a Facebook post that we're going to release tomorrow, just kind of pumping up the Smith Memorial. But yeah, he was an organizer of tournaments here at the Mechanics Institute. And it also includes a photo of him with like AJ Fink in there and whatever. But he was a tournament organizer here at Mechanics.
Well remembered and well loved, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. And I think John Donaldson started the memorial tournaments for him. So yeah. So we have to honor the Mechanics tournament organizers for sure. And Queen D5 was played, and then now Nicholas playing Knight D to B8. Not looking
Yeah,
like the best of positions.
it certainly looks ugly there, but okay, Black's hanging on to the material. Can that continue? Is the question.
And let's take a look at board 3. We have Akko Hidari playing white against Kevin Reese.
Oh,
Big pieces occupying D6 in this tonight's games. It seems like that's like the secret square, D6.
the other game, yeah, that's clearly good. Here, 1 pawn sacrifice. Right? Can Akko do something before Black squirms out of this? Now he didn't want to castle because of the classic bishop takes h7 check, king takes f7, knight g5 check, sacrifice, and queen h5. But yeah, what's going on? Maybe knight g5 anyway. White can play for the attack with all the developed pieces.
And the funny thing is like white here has been using all the time, right? And black seems to be blitzing out moves, but
well, good to play fast unless you get in a lost position. So, Aiko he's got a very complicated position as white, and he's trying to play some really good moves, and he may have done that. And knight g5 with queen h5 coming. I'm not sure black gets out of the box there.
But it seems like knight g5's like a tough one to spot, really. So like if you go knight g5, like what's the threat? Like knight takes bishop, and then pawn takes.
Yeah. Knight takes bishop, pawn takes, and black gets moves, several moves, queen. Lots of defenses for black, but
But like white's on the initiative. Like,
yeah, it's definitely an initiative, but there's also a lot of defense there. And it's one pawn and maybe two pawns, so very complicated position. It's hard to play for both sides.
all right, we'll keep it. It's great. We got some action games to see how they develop. Let's take a look at board 4. Anthony Acosta against Ghee Argo. Looks like we got some fighting chess in this game too.
Yes, that white king in the center. That's a fighting king. Ooh, queen to e8 with the threat of queen to h5 check, taking advantage of that loose king.
Yeah, it's a little tricky because it looks like it's just trying to get out of the pin, but looking to sneak into h5.
And somehow, well, let me count the pieces and pawns. Oh, allowing queen h5 check.
And played that move pretty quick.
Queen h5 check, knight f3. Okay. You get to defend the bishop on g5. So very good. Maybe you want to throw in that check anyway and recapture on b5 with the a pawn, so you don't have to worry about rook a8 check.
And here it looks like another instance where Anthony Acosta is playing quick, and Argo's using his time, and check has been played.
I think knight f3 is forced, and yeah, just this game's up in the air.
Yeah. Bombs being thrown here in round 6. Let's take board 5. Andrew Gould against Andrei Prusitsky.
Okay, something a bit calmer and an end game.
A little more settled.
Yeah, no checkmates to be happen too soon. And White's got those double rooks on the A file, but
like it doesn't look like you can. How do you break that? I mean, you just have to launch that pawn up.
probably you throw that B pawn up and put the rook onto A8.
I notice Andrew's games frequently head to end games. I'm wondering if that's just like his style. Because I've seen a lot of games, at least here in the TNM, that end up going to end games. Looks like he's comfortable sort of trading down and then trying to fight the end game, except that sometimes the end game doesn't go the way he was anticipating.
Okay, yeah, certain players like Petrosian and such that would just like to get into the end game. So Andrew's that way, and if he can grind this one out with his extra development, that would be impressive.
I was actually always very uncomfortable heading to the end game. I think that's why 2000 was my limit. I couldn't get past that. I didn't embrace the end game as much as I should have. Now, here's a game that I was looking forward to when I saw the pairing. This is Adam Stafford playing white against Kevin Sun. Two players that are definitely on the rise and are not afraid to throw the pieces out there.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Sun, yeah, he just keeps improving. He played a great game last week. So this week, yeah, he's always going for it, whichever side. trying to undermine the white support on e5.
And as Mike Walder points out, Kevin's son is a student of Grandmaster Gadir Gusanov. So that's his coach right now. And we're seeing the results.
Well, Gadir is a great teacher. This position, though, maybe you just go bishop e6, and maybe the f file should be better for white.
Yeah, because he goes bishop d6, and even if black's trying to get rid of it with f8, you would push f5 anyway. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's
Or
I want to be able to open the f file when black takes on f4, but I want to guard the e pawn. So if I can maintain the white e pawn and open the f file for white, then it should be better for white. I don't want to go pawn takes g5, queen takes g5 because the e pawn would fall, and then the white king can also become very unsafe.
don't play gf, play f6.
Oh, I guess Mike is on bishop d6, f6, but yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. It's not quite sure what Mike is saying.
And just gonna move on so we catch a little bit of the games. We're gonna move on from this game because that game is not over, but there's something going on with our board 7 every week, so we're gonna have to take a look at that. So let's go to board 8. This is David Rekonitz against Teodoro Porlares.
Okay, two of our
Wow,
classic.
Look at David. Wow, what a game.
So let's start counting things. David is down 2 knights, if I've got this correct.
Yeah, but I see the bishop attacking the queen there.
Attacking the queen and both rooks.
Let me go back a few moves just to see. Here, queen. Oh, it took the bishop with check. That's why. So here we are, right here.
Now, this is not usually David's style. He's usually a very logical, principled player who keeps things under control.
I know. That's why I was a little excited to see this because this is chaos. It's not characteristic of him.
Yes. So what is going on? I mean, it must be good for black with the 2 knights. You need a real heavy blow with the white side. Winning an exchange is not going to do much for you. So black can go, all right, queen f4 is a good move. Yeah, you need something really good for white. Not seen it. You can take on.
What if rook takes g7?
Um,
Oh,
yeah.
just rook. Probably just rook g8, right?
It depends which rook takes on g7, but there's also. Oh no, sorry, only one can take on
check.
g7. But yeah, rook g8 wouldn't work because there are 3 white pieces you could capture on g8, or well, 2 capture and one's defending. Actually, that's probably the best move. Takes g7, and you play queen takes f2 check.
Yeah, like 2 pieces down, but you have 2 pawns for it.
So I'm sure it's bad for white, but all right.
But there's
David's
chances.
got lots of swindling chances. It's
And actually, I'm just noticing now you could actually play bishop takes a8. I didn't notice. Can that be done? You can take whatever rook. No.
you certainly can, but I'm not sure you want to. You can. Those rooks are forked anyway, and the bishop for a move or two
Right.
is a defensive piece.
Got it.
So I like your first choice of rook takes g7.
Now, would black be able to save one of the rooks by playing rook e2?
Yeah, but you're not really even interested to save the rook since you have two knights ahead. Rook e2 may be a very good move because
Oh,
your
yeah.
counterattack.
And Mike's pointing out that the c7 rook's hanging. So.
Yes, that's why we're going rook on c7 takes g7 just to save the rook.
That's actually not why I suggested that move.
Okay, Mike. People had loftier goals. Checkmate.
All right.
Okay, and Mike says knight g5. Well, yes, Mike. Black is better. We'll even go. Yes, black is winning, but you can try to swindle with white.
Wow, he took the rook. Took the rook on e8. And I take it white's looking to take the bishop on h5 in return.
Yeah, so queen takes c7, bishop takes h5. So maybe you just take that bishop back. And it's still a huge material advantage for black. Could also take pawn on f2 check.
And white's got less pieces, so we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's take a look at board 9. Max Howe's original opponent wasn't going to be able to make it, but Alex Chin stepped in. So this is an extra rated game on board 9, Max Howe and Alex Chin.
And I'm going to start with counting again. 2 rooks each, 2 minor pieces, 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7, even material.
And 2 bishops for black. And black pushes to get g4.
And stopping white from breaking with pawn to g4. And that move's not bad because that white knight can't make its way to the f4 square or even the e5 square.
And doesn't bishop g5 look pretty good for black too now?
Yeah, it looks like this is a bit better for black with those 2 bishops.
Yeah, Alex, pretty strong A player, like expert strength player, playing some good chess. So we'll keep an eye on this one. And then the top board in the under 1600 section, we have Claudio Bastiani Funk as white against Isaac Sterling, who has not lost a game in this tournament.
Wow.
He's won all his games.
And had a couple buys, is that the case?
Had a bye in the first round, and then won rounds 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, wow.
So Isaac Sterling playing black is on fire. But here we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, the material even.
But white with those terrible doubled C pawns, so clearly better for the black side.
Yeah, it looks like that D3 bishop is acting as an anchor, like a pawn.
Yeah, that D3 bishop is an excellent pawn. That's,
Except it's not a pawn.
yeah. So White's defending, but just clearly worse.
Now that we've seen all the games, let's jump back to board one. Oh, we're trading bishops here on that diagonal.
Okay, now is knight takes e6 possible, this, intermezzo? You tend to think no, that what move like queen to d7 or something. No, queen to d6, attacking the knight. And the knight is better move to go knight takes d4. Well, then maybe bishop takes rook on f1. Knight on d4 moves to b5, queen to d3, which would be guarded by the bishop on f1. So better Christoph just takes the bishop on g2.
Looks like they're going to be playing for position in an endgame. So let's take a look at Christian Clemens had some positional advantage when we were checking in on it. Is the pressure maintained?
Oh wow, it's still not great for black, but are things becoming loose? Oh no, that pawn on b6 looks like it's hanging. Oh, and not a nice pawn to lose, because that breaks up your queenside pawns chain there.
Yeah, tough. Gosh.
Can you go back a couple moves on that to see?
Let's see here. So I think here, this is where we last saw it. It was knight d to b8, takes the bishop,
Okay.
knight g5. Okay, 7.
So a nice move. Rook isn't queen b3. Now the pawn on b. Oh, what? Why that knight to d8? Why not guard that pawn on c7? You had to do that.
I wonder if it was just a straight up hang. Didn't notice, because what would be the rationale, right? Because f7 is defended, right?
Yes. So anything like queen to, you could go knight to d7 or queen to c7, guard the b6 pawn, but ouch. Now you just lose it for nothing.
Tough one, and this is still the position right here. And I'm sure Christian's probably trying to figure out why he didn't guard that pawn.
Yes, I hope, Christian doesn't have the same hallucination that d6 is defended.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that one. Let's go back to the David Rakonitz game and just see what has happened. Here this is around what we last saw here. Rook takes bishop, rook takes pawn, check. This is the current position.
Okay, so this is going to be a rook against 3 minor pieces, which that's a lot of minor pieces. But that is 2 pawns ahead for white. So technically, black is down
2 points.
2 points.
We're going by the points. But this isn't good that we had to trade the queens there.
No. When you're down, you don't want to trade. But David, okay, he's got chances pieces in the end game if you can get rid of those black pawns. Get a draw.
And he will be able to probably pick up that A pawn. Yeah, we'll see.
Yes. Yeah, that would be good if queen takes b3, which is 7. Maybe you want to play aggressively. The rook on 2 takes, and he did keep the rook attacking the A pawn. So
yeah, I mean, black is ahead, but still got to be a little careful.
yes, with those 3 pieces, but white's the first one to be threatening something.
And
knight g5, rook takes a2.
And if you were not watching earlier, we have the Bernardo Smith Memorial. Just put the link in the chat. 2-day FIDE rated event live at the Mechanics Institute. 3 rounds Saturday, 2 Sunday. All sections FIDE rated. We'll have 3 sections. We already have around 30 players. We expect more, and Mike F-Pon has challenged me to get 64, 1 for each square on the board. So we're going to go for that. I got to let Jude know. 64 is the goal. So let's see if we can do it. And F-Pon's in the chat saying, can black weave a mating net with rook and 3 minors?
Yes, or could black trade down and confidently win the end game? They're both quite possible. It's but I'm rooting for racking it with white to cause trouble.
Yeah, and it's black's got to watch out that he doesn't get left with 2 knights or maybe even a knight and a bishop.
I bet. Oh, that's true. Knight and a bishop, if you don't know what you're doing, can be difficult.
So we'll see how this plays out. Let's go back to the Anthony Acosta and Ghee Argo. Looked like there was some fighting chess, and it sure is. Look at this.
That one looks like an ouch move.
Yeah, let's take a. We saw this where black got to h5 with the check. Let's take a look at that check. Knight f3, like you said, was played. Then pawn takes, bishop takes knight. Yeah, gosh, that f5 was brutal.
Now, there they needed to do something. If you go back to after f5 was played by black, there was a critical moment, and you probably need to do a sacrifice. Pawn to f5 by black. Probably need to do the sacrifice. Bishop takes c6. Black does pawn to f5 and pushing you around, and it's your moment to go for the white king. So guy should have gone. If you go one more move with black cable,
f5, and then now you're saying bishop c6 after f5.
Bishop c6, and after black does bishop c6, queen to e6 check. You sacrifice the bishop, and you're probably going to sacrifice a rook for the exchange.
Wow.
But you would be the one attacking, and I think that might go in your favor for white.
Wow. So bishop c6, bishop c6. You're saying queen e6 check, and on bishop d7.
You would have rook to a8 check.
Got it. Yeah.
And if instead of bishop d7, if you play king to b7, anyway, you play rook to a7 check. You sacrifice, but King takes a7, queen takes the bishop on c6 with the rook a1 check coming. But I think that would have won for white.
Wow. But Acosta is playing quick. He's just, playing quick. This is the current position. Rook a8 was played.
And what's happening? Can you just go king to b7? King to b7. Takes e4 check is a deadly threat.
What about king b7, queen b5 check?
Oh, excuse me. Excellent. Excellent. I didn't see that pawn was pinned.
Then rook a1.
That wins the game. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to go bishop to. Oh, this one is tricky then. So bishop to b8 is forced. Queen to d6 has deadly threats. So there was, excuse me, he had a great idea here.
Bishop b8.
Yeah, queen to d6 really threatens mate. And wow, how do you get out of this?
Well, and if you play queen d6, are you going to survive the onslaught that's coming on e4 and rook takes e4?
The rook takes e4 check. The king goes to, say, d1. And where's the next check?
And,
ouch.
And Mike Walder going to have dinner, but he's going to still be listening. Just may not be typing.
Okay, Mike, we wish you a good dinner. We look forward to your help when you return.
What a game this one is. Like Action Jackson here.
Okay, queen to d6, rook takes e4 check, king to d1, king b7 guards the bishop on b8 with that rook.
The funny thing is Anthony Acosta was like playing like super fast, and now he's slowed down. He's in the critical moment.
Wow, this is a great game. This is high entertainment. I don't quite believe in White's attack, but lots of action here.
Yeah, queen d6 is that's a move. It's so hard too because a bunch of checks are coming, and it's can you stop everything?
Oh, queen d6, rook e4 check, king to d3 maybe, being very aggressive.
Yeah, there's
then king to b7. King b7 probably works there.
Oh, that's right. Wow.
So maybe you're right. You don't want to give up that bishop on e4 with check. Something like, hey, king to e3. just
like in your face. Like, what are you going to do? Wow. Well, Acosta's trying to work this down. Let's take a peek at Adam Stafford's game, because stuff happening here. Wow, look at this.
So white clearly better with not only a pawn ahead, but that rook on f7 causing lots of trouble. And you get out of the perpetual check. Yeah, that's rook to f3, queen to e5 check. Maybe that'll do it. Rook on 1 to f3.
Queen e1.
Yeah, queen E1 is better than queen to E5 check. King would have to go back to G2, then queen to E2 check, rook F2, queen E4 check. Yeah. Not sure how you avoid that perpetual check.
And Kevin's trying to find a way to stop the checks.
Well, Kevin's on the bad side of this.
Oh, yeah, Kevin's on the bad side. That's right. Adam's on the attack.
It's great for someone like Kevin. He just learned so much from his older opponents.
Yeah, he's been growing.
He gives them a hard time.
Let's go back to see if there's any progress in the Argo game. Look at this. So it looks like bishop e8, king d3 was played by white.
Okay, fine move. Now maybe Guy wants to play king to b7. Just yeah, what do you do? No, king b7 once again. It would be queen to b5 check.
He took on e4.
Oh, all right. That's a very safe but maybe wimpy decision.
Wow, look at this.
Oh,
White,
queen takes.
White
Queen
plays,
takes.
White plays queen d6.
Yeah, if queen takes e4, bishop f5 would have pinned the queen. King d3 was probably a mistake.
Now, why didn't White play that first? Queen d6.
Yeah. The king b7 is the reply in almost any case. And I'm not sure what the follow-up is here.
Like, did you need that bishop on e4?
Yeah, I think king e3 was much better. Then you could have recaptured on e4. King d3 fell into that pin of bishop on f5 would have pinned the queen on e4 for recapturing.
Now you got to play queen a3, right?
Yes, but you've just lost material and wow. Oh, it just went wrong for Anthony.
Oh, that's tough. That looked like quite the attack.
It was a great battle, but it's easy to make one major slip when things are so complicated.
We'll keep an eye on that game. Let's check in on David Rakonitz real quick. And it looks like David did get that a7 pawn. So he's got 4 pawns to 1. Look at all the minor pieces, though.
Okay, so actually this is a tough end game for the white side. That's objectively true, but rook in right now 3 pawns, and there's always perpetual threats. So yeah, what does black do? Knight f3 check. You just go king back to f1. Take on d4, but the pawn goes to a4. Yeah, white's got a lot of chances for a draw in this position.
I could just imagine David sitting at the table, just full concentration, just trying to get this draw. And F-Pawn's asking if his plan works with the rook and minor pieces getting that mate. Just that black's got to worry about getting mated too.
Yeah. That's the thing. Those two white rooks can cause a lot of trouble. Yeah, if any of the black pieces leave, like the knight on b6, it would join in the attack on the white king. Then a8 check would be an immediate draw.
And F pawn saying he does not yet see the way to get that mate for black. Not yet.
Not yet. Well, Teodoro doesn't seem to see it either.
So he's in good company. Let's check in board one. I mean, this does not have the chaos, but it's got, I'm sure, a technical beauty. But the position looks even thus far.
Well,
right?
black is a pawn ahead.
4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah. That's right.
So it's starting to turn black's way. No mating attacks in this game, but yes, Wiley Winslow seems to have at least a pawn ahead in the endgame.
It's looking technically good. Here's this game, Christian Clemens and Nicholas Wang. 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. So white has won the 2 pawns, the one on b6, and then the other one collapsed on c5 as you expected. But does black have any compensation or at least space now? Because before it looked like black had not a whole lot of space to move, but now like all the pieces are open. Oh, but wait a minute, I feel like something. Oh, they just traded.
Well, it is true. When you get rid of your pawns and you're more open for your pieces, that is very true.
But there's no there's no king to be attacked. I guess that's the problem. So,
yeah, if it was open lines to the white king, then it would be good. But,
so Christian Clemens looks like he's in control. Here's Akko Haydari and Kevin Reese.
Now I've noticed about Akko, he plays these great, open moves and things. Then he kind of slows down a bit, and like that move, Akko, you're not listening. It's probably good you're not listening, but that's just not a move you play when you sacrifice a pawn. You need open lines for your pieces, like Abel said, and the white queen probably should have gone to g4. Want to go h4, open things up. F3 is just too defensive when you're attacking.
And what was the idea behind that? Is that looking at the bishop on c6 and trying to close that off? Like, what would be the purpose of that?
Yeah, Akko, we're going to ask you this in the chess cafe, because usually Akko comes to the chess cafe. That's a very strange move to me, and I'm trying to answer your question, Abel, but I'm just not able to.
Sometimes there may not be an answer, or a good one anyway. Let's check in on Anthony Acosta. Whoops, that's not it. Ultimately, yeah, Queen E3 has just been played.
Okay, that's good. Now, Rook to A4 may really dampen White's party there.
Oh yeah.
Down the exchange. It's down a piece. It's
yeah.
There may be some real knockout load too, but just not good for White.
I mean, the only thing is Rook A4, Rook B8, and then Queen D6, and just kind of hope for something lucky to come up.
Yeah, doesn't Looks like it'll really work, but you have to try something like that.
And rook a4 has been played. Yeah, tough. We'll see how it plays out, but that looks like a challenge. Let's check in on Adam Stafford's game. Is Kevin still delivering the checks?
Kevin down, but checking. Yeah, how do you get out of these checks? Just not easy.
It's tough because like there's so much initiative for white, and black's only got the queen down there, but you can't escape it.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding an escape. Rook f2, queen e5 check, king to g2, queen e4 check.
And can white get to g3 and then h4? Or are you sort of walking into something bad?
Yes, you want to be able to get to h4 without black going queen e3 when the king's on g3 and then queen back to h6. So can we figure out a way?
But what if white just goes king g3 now?
And then queen e3 check.
And then king h4?
And then queen
h6
check.
Queen h6, yeah.
And I'm having real trouble seeing how white can escape that. You don't want to move the rook on f7.
Tough.
Yeah, just really tough. So maybe this is a lucky escape for Kevin. And young, talented players are always lucky.
Yeah, and I know Adam's racking his brain trying to find a way to escape the checks.
A whole hour.
Let's check in on Max and Alex Chin. And what happened here? Because
Max lost a piece.
But he seems to have 3 pawns for it, and might be getting another one.
Yeah, looks like he wins the one on h7. But funny, I still like the black side, even
Couple bishops, Sam.
Yeah. So maybe bishop to g5, bishop takes h7 check, king to h8. Got to guard the pawn on e3. Yes. Bishop e6, threatening the e6 pawn.
This one could be interesting to follow.
It is. Both sides trying to win this game.
And let's check in on let's check on Andrew Go. He was wow, look at this. And Andre Persitsky. So it looks like white has redirected the rooks because they were stacked up on the A file.
And they never did anything there, so the initiative passed to black. Brooks had to regroup, but black has the 2 bishops, all the solid squares, and is sort of pressuring white. Oops, is knight takes a6 tactical move? He took first. Maybe you take back and then knight takes a6. Who's that tricky? Knight takes a6, rook a1, but Still go rook on 1 to a8. I don't think he should have taken on e5. That's sort of opens up that black bishop on g7 for potential.
So you should have just left that tension there. Is what you're saying?
Maybe he could have gone knight takes a6 because the bishop on c6 is only defended by the pawn on b7. And then if the rook, after knight a6, rook to a8, which pins that knight to the rook on a2, you might calmly go rook to a5. Would have been better for Andrew, but pawn takes e5 looks like the black pieces are coming to life.
All right, let's. I gotta see David Rakonitz here. I want to see how this game plays out. Like 2 rooks against a rook and 3 minor pieces.
Definitely the game of the round.
White's got 4 pawns to 1. I mean, yeah, geez.
You know, it's usually a horrible situation. 3 minor pieces against a rook. I mean, in a middle game, it would be overwhelming. But here in the end game, those 2 white rooks are doing well, and there are the pawns. So Teodoro has to really think this through, how he could win this.
You know, those white rooks can cause so many problems. Unbelievable. I'm hearing Adam Stafford in the hallway. I'm guessing that they probably drew, unless I see something crazy. It was a draw. They did draw. Adam could not escape the checks, and they are definitely analyzing the game now. You hear them in the hallway. So this was a draw. Could not find a way out of the checks.
Well done, Kevin, dude. You know,
Oof.
we got a draw there with those checks.
And here is the position. Wow. I think Ghee Argo has delivered, and the clock is stopped, so I think this game is over. Argo getting the win.
2 bishops ahead after he takes that knight on f3.
Yeah, so I'm going to mark this result in, and actually I'll put Kevin's is done. And then Kevin and Adam are about to get a talking to from Judith, I have no doubt, because they're making a lot of noise in the hallway.
Yeah, young people excited about their game.
It's like we love the enthusiasm, but my goodness, like keep it down. All right, so we've recorded those results. Back to let's check out the top under 1600 game. Claudio, Bastiani, Fonk, and Isaac Sterling.
Oh, what is this? Oh, capturing on d5. So it's forking the rooks. You probably have to. But if you capture on d5, takes the rook on d3, which attacks the rook on b4.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a shot right there. All right, F-Pawn, we'll see you Saturday at the Bernardo Smith Memorial. And thanks for tuning in and following the action of the TNM. Yeah, I think White just missed that one.
Yeah, you need something with White. Probably have to take the knight on d5, queen takes c3. It's hard to find a move. because if rook b3 attacking the queen, there's queen a1 check.
Oops.
Um,
Oops, sorry. And Alexi Root is going to turn in. It's 11 p.m. where she's at. Thanks, Alexi, for stopping by and following the broadcast. All right, let's set quick check-in. Board one. This is the action right here.
well, this is looking rather professional here. Wiley Winslow, the pawn up, the knight on f3. More time on the clock with the black pieces. Looking tough. Could throw in bishop takes b2. Since rook takes b2, rook to d1 check.
Wow, bishop takes b2.
But I'm sure Winslow will find something really good. It's
And that was played. Bishop takes b2.
yeah, rook d1 check is really a threat.
Looks like Elliot's collected another pawn there.
Yeah, I think he's just taking this one down.
Yeah. All right, so we'll keep following that.
Can I ask you then the standings? How's it looking for this is round 6?
This is round 6, and let's take a look at that because some people have taken buys, so it's sort of like left the top section pretty open. So the section, well, actually, the leader going into round 6, Siddhartha Arun, has before the tournament taken buys for the last 2 rounds. So he is gonna finish with 5 out of 7, regardless, because he's getting half point today and for next week. Christoph Bamboo and Richard Liu were both tied with 3.5. Now Richard Liu also has a half point for tonight and next week, so he's going to finish with 4.5 at best. And if Elliot Winslow wins, he'll go into the final round with 4 out of 6, with an opportunity to tie for first if he wins next week with 5 points. Abi Pinagalapati, he was at 3 points, but took a bye this week, and unfortunately it was a 0-point bye because it wasn't requested beforehand. The other player that can catch up is Nicholas Wang. He's got 3 points now. If he wins tonight, he'll be at 4, so he'll have an opportunity to get 5. So if Elliot continues this, he'll have 4 points. And Nicholas Wang seems to be the only other player that will be able to keep pace with an opportunity to catch Siddharth. So it looks like Siddharth Arun is, based on the result in Christoph Bamboo's game against Elliot, he's going to at least tie for first, no matter what. So, and the other thing, looking at the under 2000, Kevin Sun's save here was great for him because now he's going to go into round 7 with 5 out of 7.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Adam Stafford with 4.5, so it would be a half point behind.
Adam must be a bit upset with himself not reeling in that.
Yeah, could have used that
full
point.
point.
Could have used that point for sure. And Christian Clemens here in this game, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns to 5 and clear cut. So he looks like he's in the driver's seat for sure. But let's go back to the game that we're following here between David Rakonitz and Teodoro Porlaris. This game is just so fraught with danger here.
Oh my, look at it. This is becoming incredible. Those two white rooks have become super aggressive. And it's a question, what can black do?
+2. Yeah. And we had an illegal move in the game, so we're assessing that penalty. Okay, so the rook is under attack, but so's the knight.
Yeah, no, that's super aggressive play.
Well,
I think white's
it's defended, I'm seeing, by the bishop, but you're threatening me. Oh no, you got that. Gosh, God, look at it. It's so hard to keep track of it all. And if you look, if the rook starts attacking the knight by going to a6, you're like possibly threatening the pawn on h6. Jeez, what do you do?
well, I think black should probably give a perpetual check with rook to f2 check, king to e1, rook to e2 check. The king doesn't want to go to d1 because of the covered check.
So you think black should bail possibly here, huh?
I think black could bail out for a draw. As you say, rook e6 is just, very dangerous. Maybe pawn to a4, maybe rook to b8 check. It's there's whites, those two white rooks on the 7th are very powerful.
Yeah.
Walter Brown used to call them two pigs on the 7th.
Two pigs on the 7th. That's that battery there. Yeah. Well, let's see how this plays out. Maybe Teodoro thinks this game should be mine. I'm gonna try to get it.
Yeah, it only takes him being a bit greedy and
nothing like filthy greed to make a game exciting. Well, let's see Max's game. It looks like he had sacrificed to gave up a piece for like 4 pawns.
Okay, yeah, it's 4 pawns. Looks like black will win one of them back, one of the B pawns. And yeah, it's anybody's game here. That's that rook is threatening to come to C2 check. And it's black's move, so rook C2 check would get taken by the bishop.
H7. Yeah. See, that's the thing with these open positions, these open games. It's like pieces everywhere with scope all over the board.
Yeah, maybe just the rook to C1. You lose the B pawn, then rook H1. That's just complicated game.
Yeah, we got some.
Or maybe.
No, I was just gonna say we got some fun games tonight.
Yes.
Got some action.
Wow. I starting with David Rakonitz, just usually so principled, cautious player.
Let's stay on this game because look at this.
Ooh, I don't think this worked for black. Yeah, I think your move rook to a6, and what does black do? There's no bishop b5 check because that bishop is pinned.
Dare we say it? Can white win this game?
Oh, you just called it that Theodora would get too aggressive. I just don't see it. Or
We have someone in the chat say this looks interesting. This has been, we've been glued to this game all evening. Like, it's been wild like this for quite a while. I have a feeling you're going to pick this one for the newsletter to go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, rook a6.
So usually the three minor pieces, they can really do something, and maybe they still can here. Rook a6, threatening the knight. What do you do? I just don't see it working.
You know, David's sitting at that table. There's got to be a part of him thinking, "Oh my gosh, this has got to be exciting, people to watch."
Yeah. Right. But now I'll just go on record at this point predicting Rakonitz will win the game.
And if he pulls it out, that'd be great for him. It was funny because before the round started, he had asked me, because he's playing on one of the DGT boards. He was asking me, does he have to start the clock first? Does he have to make a move first in order to? Because you didn't want to mess up the broadcast of the game. It's like, no, you can make a move, start the clock after.
But I mean, that was tricky all the time when we started DGTs there, and things would get messed up.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like players are starting to know to put the white kings, the white and the black king on white if white wins, and then on black if black wins. They're like starting to get the hang of it. But this is the moment for David. He's got to find that move. I mean, there's so many moves on the board that you could be thinking about, right?
Yeah. I mean, would pawn to d5 do it? Not really. Can't really move the king. Actually, I don't see much of a move for white except to pin that knight on b6.
And I just know, just because I'm at around the same skill level as these guys. David has to be thinking, if I put my rook on a6, wow, look at the move was played, a4.
Not a bad move, but not sure how this works. Black gets some free move with the knight, like to d5 or c4, and it's kind of coming into the attack.
If it goes if you go to d5 or c4, and then you go rook a8, like, is the combination of the knights and the rook, can they do something to like corner you to like some mate?
Good question. But I mean, yeah, there are a lot of good checks, but maybe you run out.
And there it is, knight c4 is played. God,
Okay, rook a8,
so
you
dangerous.
could defend with knight to g6, but
So now what happens if rook 7 to a8 and then knight d6 and then you just start pushing a5?
Um, yeah, you could, but something like knight to c4, rook 8, now knight to d2 check. What's happening? King needs to go to g2. Um, knight to f4 check to g3, knight h5 check. It may be a perpetual with the two knights and rook attacking. I don't think white can get checkmated, but looks like with accurate play, black could get a draw with those two knights. And
Gosh,
of course,
look at that. I mean, yeah. I'm glad I'm not trying to calculate this as like white or black or anybody.
crazy position.
Absolutely nuts.
But yeah, my prediction is a draw at this point
You're predicting a draw
by perpetual check.
after all the chaos. Yeah, but like it doesn't look like Teodoro wants to bail. I think he's he's out for blood, but he may not have an option if he's staring the loss of a piece in the face. Wow, King G2 played.
Okay, that's so the knight can check on f4. And white.
I feel like David's strategy is to get the king away from the back rank.
The black king.
Or the white king. I just feel not. I don't know if this is correct, but as a B player myself, I actually would be nervous my king being on that back rank because I feel like the rook and the knights would be able to converge. David might be thinking if I, attack the knight there and I can get my king out to like f3, now I have space to move around. And I may not be looking at a mate. Now that probably not the greatest thinking, but even as we see knight f4 played, I think David's going to play king f3 with the idea that he just wants to get away from the back.
King f3 and the knight has to move, and it's very good. David's been aggressive with the white king. I like that. You've got some threats with the rook. The king is in danger, but it's also threatening things.
So now knight d5.
Yeah, I might go knight h5, which I think gets a perpetual check. Knight d5 looks very natural and logical. Oh, and that also is ready to defend. So if you would double rooks on the 8th rank, then I could come back to f6.
And then I think that's where David will play a5.
Okay, he did go knight d5.
So I think he'll play rook 7 a8, and then you're going to see like knight f6 or something, and then a5.
I might leave a rook on the 7th, pinning that king to the back rank,
yeah, yeah.
and just play a5 straight away.
Just now, yeah.
I don't see any checkmate for black, so
And if anyone wants to follow the current standings of the TNM, I'll put the link in the chat. You click on that, you'll see all the pairings for all the games, and as well as all the standings of the 3 sections. This game here is in the under 2,000 section of the TNM.
and which is the game for the top of the under 2,000 section? Was that Argo's game or?
Yeah, that was no, it was Adam Stafford, Kevin's son.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
great game.
yeah, that was a good game. A quick check in on Max and Alex Chin. They're still fighting over here on the top board. Oh wow, look at this. Oh yeah, yeah. Elliot has this game. So looks like Elliot's on the road, and Christian Clemens, 4-5, 3-4-5, still has that 2-pawn advantage. And then Akko Hidari's game. This one's gone a little interesting.
Akko really trying to press, but you've got your pawns on the dark squares. So naturally, black in this position would like to play pawn to d4.
Can you just do it now?
I think you could. I'm wondering if you could actually take that pawn on d4. Oh no. Pawn to d4, queen takes d4, queen g3 check, king to f1, bishop g2 check, and drive the king back to g1 when you get a nasty discovered check.
That's just a nice square for that queen, getting to e1 and that diagonal for the bishop. Whoa. I came within an inch of like pulling out the cord for the DGT. That would be bad. D4 was played.
Various ideas, but we think queen takes d4, eliminating the criminal right away, seems most reasonable.
Going on, and I think this game is over. It is. Isaac Sterling, still undefeated in the TNM.
Wow.
Getting this win. He got that rook fork that we were looking at. So congratulations to Isaac Sterling. Just dominant in the under 1600 section. So
Abel, how many sections are there?
The 3 sections. We have a 2000 plus, an under 2000, which is basically 1600 to 2000, and then an under 1600 section. So Isaac Sterling, the win. Now let's go back to this game we've been like glued to between David Rakinitz and Teodoro Porlaris.
I love how calmly David's just moving the pawns up. You know, that's the A pawn came up, the B pawn, and I mean, right, if it works, it's great, but we're giving black a lot of time.
I mean, to me, like obviously you want to keep all the tension, but there's going to be always something in me for as white saying I got to get rid of that H pawn, because I feel if I can get rid of that H pawn, I feel a little bit better.
Yeah, it's not so easy to grab that H pawn, but that's also not doing any harm for quite a while. It can takes 5 moves to march down, and the white king's very near. So I think white's play is to progress with those central A and B pawns. But yeah,
This is crazy. I don't know what's going to happen here. Like, no clue. Nobody does. Knight d6. Knight d6.
somehow black's okay, but each passive move is a little difficult.
It's like you're giving time for something to happen.
Or you can go pawn to A5, and then black starts an attack. Rook to E3 check, king to F2, knight to E4 check. The rook and 2 knights drive the white king someplace.
We should invent an award that this will be the inaugural. We should have like TNM Game of the Year. Like this would be a candidate because you can't be a chess fan and not be like glued to this game.
Yes.
It's like you got to know what's going to happen. And when we're looking at 2 knights here, you can't help but worry that you don't want to get caught with some nasty fork.
Well, it's been pretty good. The lack of blunders have happened this round. That's and rapid chess, they happen. It's even to the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when we did the Cal Chess Rapid and Blitz Championship at the Mechanics Institute in 2019. I mean, we had GMs and IMs, hanging mate in one. The winner of the Rapid, which was International Master Prasanna Rao, who won the Rapid, and then the next day came back for the Blitz, and in the first round against a 2,000 rated player, hung mate in one in the Blitz. So it's like, yeah, it can happen, especially when you're playing fast time control. Deep thought right now for David Rakovitz.
Yeah, he also may be getting very ambitious, but it's a tricky position. I'm sort of glad they stopped at this point.
Like slow down.
Yeah, you decide yourself, some beautiful concept passes through against all the main defenses, or sometimes they're just a prosaic defense. You guard a couple things and it's easy.
And this is sort of the exciting thing about broadcasting games in the undersections, right? Because you get a gem like this from club players, and you're just glued to the thing. And David plays B5.
Well, it looks like it must be a good move. Only 3 spots from queening.
The more these pawns advance, the more opportunity that black's going to be induced into fearing the pawns coming and maybe playing a little more passively than you should. I don't know. It's like you can't look at those pawns and not be worried about the 6th rank and then the 7th.
Those pawns are marching. They're marching. There's
And that bishop's pinned over there, and the king can't move up, and geez. All right, real quick, gonna check in what else is going on. Max and yeah, they're still playing. They're gonna be playing this game a while, I think. We don't have board 7, unfortunately. Akko and Kevin Reese.
yeah, that game was still very interesting. Oh, and now it's
Oh wow, look at this.
G5.
I think he's gonna lose a bishop.
What a shock.
He's gonna lose he's gonna lose a bishop, at least, right?
Oh, Akko, you had a very interesting game, but this is a blow.
Maybe a lot more.
Wherever that white queen moves, there's a queen G3 check, or just take the bishop.
Yeah, wow. And Akko, Kevin Reese with an hour 13 left. Akko with under 2 minutes. got caught on that.
Just
Tough
there's
one.
no way out. Do you want to go back 2 moves?
Yeah. Let's see. It was a simple move. I mean, we saw this. We saw D4, Bishop F3 seemed innocent, but then just like that. G5.
Oh yeah, just a blunder.
Yeah.
Akko, yeah, what a shame.
Wow. Fortunes. So white plays queen takes D4.
Yeah, queen G3 check, not allowing black to have the checks. Should just take the point down.
Yeah, you're just gonna take with check. Yeah. And Akko's probably just waiting on queen G3 before resigning.
Sorry, Akko.
Although he actually doesn't really resign, I've noticed. He plays out. I didn't want to go to that game. Queen G3 was played. Now you can take the bishop a check. And you could actually trade queens now, right, with queen E4. And just simplify your life. Yeah.
Just so simple, though.
All right, let's go back to we're going to call it the main event right here. And Teodoro slightly on the attack here.
Yeah, okay. It's very interesting.
God, look how those pieces are stacked up, though. It's like, is rook D8 a thing?
Now, was this king to F2, right? Because the knight could come to E4 with check. And, ouch. Careful that you don't get mated with the white side.
Knight E4 check.
And if the king goes to D2, it would be knight F4 check. And wow, those 2 knights and a rook draws minimum for black then. Maybe you go king to G1, far away from those. No, but he just went king to F2. So yes, knight E4 check. Black is starting to take the winning chances.
And one of the things he's conscious of is if he goes knight e4 check, now he covers the protection of the bishop. So he has to make sure that the calculation's spot on.
Yes.
Because that's mate. That's mate.
Yeah, or a perpetual at least. I think black could also be satisfied with a perpetual in this this situation. 94 check. Maybe the king should go to G1. And yes, maybe that rook should just start checking on E1, E2, E3.
And I think Elliot finished his game. Gets the win. Nicely played. Yep, we were watching that game. But David Reckonet's game is like probably the most exciting game of the year. David Reckonet's.
Yeah, just fine game.
What a game. Unbelievable game. So 94 played. Oh, there. On the other computer, Tom? Or just follow chess? Yeah. Actually, we'll set that up like next time. I think it's up on there. I think that's it. So there's no forced mate here, or is there?
I don't see one. I don't, wherever the king moves, you can make bad moves, you can make good moves. Yeah, I don't see the blended things.
Or you could actually go watch the game. It's out of the. Elliot's trying to get on a computer to like watch the game, but it's like just go watch it out there live.
Could we see the finish of Elliot's game?
No, hold on, let me text Judith. She's got to take a pic. We have to get a picture for posterity here. King F1. And here's the thing, right? I mean, if King F1.
Yes, then knight to probably D2 check. You could go to
F2.
E2 to F2. You might then repeat the position, knight E4 check. Yeah, it's.
I'll be right back.
Knight to G3 check. Now, EF2 knight E4 check is easy, but about king to G2, then knight to F4 check, and then king F2. Could have tried that also. Yeah, this is those two knights in the rook's very scary, but looks just good for a perpetual check. Looks like knight E4 check would repeat position. Can't move that bishop on E8. I mean, if that could get in the attack, it would be immediately crush him. But the bishop pinned on e8, so rook and two knights fighting against the king, and looks to be an even battle. So that white king's being brave enough, just move up, kind of disrupt the even flow of the rook and two knights. And we seem to be getting a perpetual check at this point.
It's funny because I go out there and like where they're sitting, like there's no game going on around them. So they're like totally into it. But Adam Stafford is watching the TV in the room. He's following that game.
Ahaha. Yeah, well, this is fascinating. And I'm going to bet the players have decided it's been a great battle and an even battle, and see them repeating.
You think Teodoro is just... I don't see a way to mate. What if King G1? Has that been done?
You certainly can go king to G1, and I would try it. And then rook to E1, check king to G2. Then maybe rook to E2, check. Yeah, it's still looking like a draw. Looks like check, 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 check.
And it seems like David's going to be perfectly fine if they end up repeating.
Yes, David does that. He gives his opponent credit. You played good moves. You played really interesting, logical moves, and he doesn't, he respects them. He'll take a draw for a well-played game.
Now the thing is will Teodoro say, I think I see a line that may lead to mate, and then sort of go for it?
Or what happens in these positions, you really want to win, you don't want to draw, and you look and look and look for a line, you spend all your time, and then you see it, and you're down low on time, and you play it, and oh, it's not quite there. There's one little thing wrong.
Yeah, that's the danger.
Yeah, I think Teodoro should just check, repeat, and actually be glad that he escaped at this point. He was winning earlier in a very complicated game.
And if they do end up drawing and repeating, we'll take like a 10-15 minute break, and then we will catch the final games. But real quick, just kind of looking at the other games, Christian Clemens still looks like he's in control of that one. Ako Haydari is playing it out, but that game is pretty much done. Andrew Guo, they drew. Andrew Guo and Andrei Prositsky, they actually drew their game.
Okay. What was the pawn situation? Now, wait a minute. There's something a little odd that black has an extra rook. So,
yeah, something happened. I think this was the position. Yeah, I've changed the position because I think what happened, they started moving pieces. So I'm setting that as the last move of the game. And yeah, I think that's what happened. Stop recording. All right, so that's done. And back to this game. All right, so let's go back to David Rakonitz's game. King F2. Wow, he went knight G3. Wow, look at this. So now knight f5 is played, but now white has a
Oh, okay. You just didn't want to make a draw. Now that's playing with fire.
It's playing with knives, playing with matches. It's like all of those.
What can we do to you?
But like in this position, it's like there's no check for black, even like on the next move.
No, no. It's I might try to mess up black a bit. It's maybe rook to d8, sort of hitting the knight.
And it's been played, rook d8.
Okay, but no harm yet. That knight can go to f6, and then a check is really happening. I don't see mates yet, but that's like knight f6. Maybe black plays pawn to b6. It's
But if knight, yeah, knight f6. Yeah, but you look at something like knight f6. That sort of brings the knights back to like a more passive, right? So now you could just advance b6, right?
b6. Okay, but then that knight on f6 can check,
Yeah,
which of course it could have checked a couple moves ago. But the check should be enough to make a draw. Say b6, knight to g4 check, king f1, and
and I think Christian Clemens' game is over. Yep, Christian won that game. That was a straight up win. So let's record that. Oops.
2 pawns ahead. Nicholas just resigned.
All right, so that's in the books. Let's go back to the game. Knight f6, and David Rakonitz has had enough time in the game to sort of work through this.
What I like is David. He plays very logically, but sometimes he just doesn't trust himself enough. And this game, he's really trusted himself because, right, I'm going for it. I'm playing the aggressive moves, and he lets his opponent have some shots, but he's not overly fearful of them.
Is rook f7 anything here?
Rook f7, the knight would go to g4 check. The king, where would the king go to? You sort of have to be a bit careful because discovered checks can happen. For instance, rook f7, knight g4. If king to f1, there is rook to f3 check. And wherever that white king moves, I think there's going to be some discovered check. Maybe king g1, rook f g3 check, and it's all I somehow see perpetual check happening now. That it's
You think there's going to be an element where he played around with fire a little bit, and the pawn's going to keep advancing, and then he's finally going to say, all right, let's start delivering the checks.
Yeah, it's not too late for Teodoro, but if he just maybe David plays B6 or, but give him one more, give David one more free move after this, and then you'll probably be in a lost position. But right now, any move that white makes, there's still a perpetual check for black.
And just seeing what else is out there. Did board 7 finish, Elliot? What was the result of that? Black won on board 7. So even though we couldn't follow that game, we'll enter the result. Yep, 0-1. The board was like messed up. It stopped recording after like early in the beginning. So Akko Hidari's game's got to be done like soon. Let me. Akko, that was board 3. I'll see if the clock is running. The clock is not running, so I think Caven Reese won that game. So we'll go there. He was up handily. So 0-1 on board 3. Okay. So wow, David Racken is one of the final games going. Let's go back to that. Wow, and here we go. B6 has been played. And
Okay.
Now we're in the danger zone.
Yes. And
like from the Top Gun soundtrack. Danger zone.
Yeah, the 2 knights and the rook can't do it together yet. It's they need some help. Okay, knight e4 check.
You gotta be a little careful, right?
Yeah. It looks like you can just go king to f1. Yeah, there's a lot of checks but no mate. It's not close to mate.
But like, whatever white does here, black's got to deliver a check, because then it's going to be made against black. We were going to take a break at 9:15. Then we saw this game and we abandoned that whole idea. This game has been that good.
Yeah, no, thanks to both players. But especially David Rakinitz, he played extremely aggressively and a little too aggressively, like Tall used to play. So objectively in trouble, but practically he had a lot of chances, and he just made those 2 rooks really aggressive. So,
and for us here at the club, I mean, it's a lot of fun to watch him do that, because we know, he's a more technical player, not, throw it out there aggressive. At least I don't think so. And so I think it caught our eye that the game looked like it was a wild slugfest. And it has maintained that tension and intensity like throughout. And I'm glad he's using his time. He has the time to use.
So he could try. Let's go king to g1. Then to e1 check, king to g2, rook to e2 check, king to f3, and rook to e3 check, king to f4, and the king's the thick of it, which actually could be bad, but
you want to hear something funny? We're getting a little spike in the amount of people watching, and I think it's players from the TNM are seeing this game going, and so they're tuning into the broadcast to find out what you have to say about it.
Yeah, well, it's because David is throwing things out here. If I were white, I'd look at the time, 14 minutes,
31,
and
31. The reason we're figuring out the score.
Which one?
431. 30 Morgan is white one.
Oh, okay. King F1 here. And Christian Clemens is in the chat. That's exactly what he did. He saw this game. He saw this game going, and he's like, "Oh my God! Like, what does Nick have to say about this?"
Okay, I like well King F1. Okay, yes, yeah. If you're David now, right? They given Teodoro's like fooled around for a bit, and except I would have gone King to G1 because here Knight to D2 check, and then you can go back to F2. But if King to G1, G2, then Rook to E2 check. Yeah, I would like to get that white king up to F4, which looks risky, but it just causes a lot of trouble.
But David seems like intent on staying on F1 because it hasn't seemed like he's been wanting to hit the corner. And Clemens is in the trap saying Ted is fearless. His games are always interesting. No lazy draws ever. And we've been seeing that where he's been avoiding the opportunity to perpetual check. But as he's been avoiding that B pawn has been slowly advancing.
Yes, we've seen Teodoro just playing, and I somehow predict he's gonna avoid the repetition and give David even one more chance to push something.
So now Elliot is in the Twitch chat now on the computer directly across from me, following this action.
Well, Elliot will tell us.
What do you think, Elliot, of this position? So knight D2 check?
Well, he's not exactly, looks just, I don't know.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know either. King F2.
Something if King to G1.
Hey, but look. Oh yeah. He could go knight E4.
If King to G1, you would have played the terrible Rook to E2, and then there's a mating net with knight F3 check, knight G3 check, mate. So okay, it's good he played King to F2.
Just checking in on the Max Howe game because it's wow, look at this. Did not expect this. Something happened.
Well, now this is 4 pawns for a bishop. That's a lot of pawns.
It's a lot of pawns, especially those two connected ones passed.
So should be winning for Max.
Oh, she's on top.
Yeah, board 9. Yeah. And then yeah, we all are. Yeah, we all are. Yeah, we're one big mechanics chess.
Okay, well, I'll take off.
So Elliot taking off. He's got the games. Yeah. He grabbed the games that are so far.
Wait, you need the results?
I don't think so. I can just text you. Yeah.
Give me the Swiss file. I can just send them back to you.
Yeah. So King F1 again. So it looks like David is content.
He's content with the draw. Very practical decision. He's a very he's an excellent and practical attorney and doesn't shy away from the truth. Uh, a lot of chess players are such artists. They look for strange things, and but Teodoro may be one of them, and he just may not be satisfied with a repetition.
I mean, I could see the temptation that there's two knights and a rook here. There's got to be a way to force a mate here. Like, there has to be a way. Like, I get that thinking, just can't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it at all if David is just repeating there, and if you give White one more move, like you try one more funny thing, then you could
we
just
may
lose.
have a threefold here if King F2 is played here.
Looks like it. So it's only David's chance to play King G1 or King G2.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and those are very risky.
Yeah.
King G1, rookie E2, threatening knight F3 check, knight G3 mate. Which though, hey, king to G1, rook to E2 with those terrible threats. Oh, then yeah, rook takes bishop on E8 check.
Right.
Rook takes rook on to B7.
Yeah.
With the idea of rook to A8.
Yeah.
What is happening?
And David is thinking, he has to be thinking about it, or else he would have instantly played King F2.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I mean, he has to be contemplating that. And it looks like the clock may have stopped.
So that would mean draw agreed.
Let me go check that.
Okay. And meanwhile, while Abel's checking, we'll just contemplate the line king to G1 to avoid the repetition. Rook to E2, threatening just about the unstoppable knight F3 check. King G1 or H1, then the other knight to G3 checkmate. But after King G1, Rook E2, White plays Rook takes bishop on E8 check. Rook takes rook, pawn to B7 with the threat of rook to H8. And for instance, knight to D6, rook to A8 anyway. And wow, you're just getting material with White. Yeah, maybe winning the game there. That's very complicated. That would have been a way to play for a win, but hard to do that with those rook and two knights swarming around the king.
Yeah, they drew. They agreed to a draw. Yeah, amazing.
Well, I am going to annotate this game and see the final position. So, David, it's David always takes the bird in the hand.
Yeah, they had no idea we were following everything so close. All right, so the last broadcast game still going on is Max Howe and Alex Chin, and Max is slowly going in for the kill here, but I think
those pawns keep moving up.
yeah, like King E6 looks like it'll do it.
Yes.
It's been played. And just making sure I got the result down. In the other games. Yep.
Three seconds left there for Alex and
Yeah.
but yeah, King D7 and the E pawn marches through. Oh well, pawn to D7, not as good. Still should be winning, but
Yeah, this wins. Right, yeah.
Okay, that does it. That does it. Yes.
Take. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah,
Yeah, you have to get that G
because
pawn.
you push it once to E6, and then that's it. Yeah. Or it doesn't even matter either way. And we should be seeing resignation soon here. And the clock stopped, so I think that game is over. And Max Howe, that's a. I think they put the kings on the wrong because it says 0-1, but this is a win for white.
Yes.
So all right, okay, those are the broadcast games, and I think that might be it for us tonight. We didn't get a break, but we got a lot of action in.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of the games. Fun night of chess, and we started off with a little history, which was entertaining. Awesome all around broadcast. Thanks, Nick, for the coverage. It was a lot of fun.
Well, especially when the games are this good, then it's terrific.
Yeah, the club players delivered tonight with the
Yeah.
action. If you were following the games tonight, you were entertained because that was some pretty exciting chess. And I think that's Kevin's son's dad in the chat. No, thank you, and congratulations to Kevin for pulling that one out with the perpetual checks. And last plug, there's still games going on, just not on the DGT boards. The Bernardo Smith Memorial, I just put the link in the chat. 5 games, FIDE rated this weekend, 3 Saturday, 2 Sunday. Register now and be a part of the action. And we will see everyone this Thursday night for the last 2 rounds of the Thursday night marathon, as well as the arena with Nick DeFermian and Paul Whitehead, who will be back on Thursday for the broadcast and to play. So, wow, what an evening! And before we sign out, we're gonna take a look to see who else is streaming right now, and is there anyone to raid? Let's throw everyone to Grandmaster Christian Carilla. He's always been a fan of the Mechanics Institute, so we will send viewers to him. And good night, everyone. We'll see you on Thursday. Thanks, Nick.
Good night, folks.
And